You know that feeling, right? Your heart is racing for what feels like no reason, or your mind just gets stuck in this endless loop of worry. It's like modern life is a pressure cooker. We tend to think of anxiety as, a problem that's all in our heads. But what if it isn't? What if it's actually a message from our bodies? Let's dive into an ancient perspective that asks us to just listen. This is the very first question acupuncturist Danielle Melanson asks her patients. And it's a total game changer, isn't it? Instead of treating anxiety like some kind of malfunction that we need to silence, this question reframes it as a signal, a story that our body is desperately trying to tell us. So the real question is, how do we learn to listen?
Well, the key, it turns out, lies in this ancient concept from Chinese medicine known as the Shen. This one idea gives us a completely different map for understanding where anxiety even comes from, and more importantly, how we can find our way back to calm. So what exactly is Shen? The simplest way to think about it is as the inseparable link between your heart and your mind. It's your consciousness, it's your emotional stability, it's your ability to see the world with clarity. And in Chinese medicine, the Shen is said to be housed or rooted in the heart. Okay, and this is where it gets really fascinating. In the West, we see the heart as this brilliant, biological pump. It's mechanical. But in Chinese medicine, the heart is the emperor of the entire body. It doesn't just pump blood, it literally governs our entire conscious experience. That is a huge, huge distinction. And right here, this is the crucial piece of the puzzle. When things like stress or a bad sleep or just emotional turmoil knock us off balance, the Shen can become unanchored from the heart. And according to Melanson, that's the moment the mind, now kind of left to its own devices, starts spinning up anxious stories, worrying about the future, replaying the past. And the craziest part, your body believes every single word. You can see the domino effect so clearly here. First, the Shen gets dislodged. Then the mind starts to spiral. The body hears those anxious stories and reacts as if there's a real physical threat. And suddenly, you're experiencing actual symptoms. A racing heart, shallow breathing, tense muscles. The story has literally become a reality in your biochemistry.
So all of this points to a much more holistic view, right? If anxiety isn't just some random brain glitch, then treating it can't be about one single fix. Instead, practitioners like Danielle Melanson see it as a perfect storm.
The standard model often looks for one broken part, say a chemical imbalance, and then applies one fix, like a medication. But the perfect storm model is totally different. It sees anxiety as a system-wide issue. It's not about one thing going wrong, it's about the convergence of many things.
And what are those things? Well, pretty much everything. We're talking about how you sleep, how your digestion is working, your emotional state, day-to-day stress, your lifestyle, even hormonal cycles. All these threads are woven together, and if you pull on one, the whole tapestry can get pulled out of shape.
And this is why the diagnosis has to be so personal. Look at this. 2 people can walk in and say, I have anxiety, but the patterns underneath are completely different. Patient A has anxiety with overthinking and digestive issues. That points to something called Spleen Qi deficiency. But patient B has anxiety with irritability and night sweats, which suggests a yin deficiency with heat. Same label, anxiety, but 2 totally different root causes that need completely different treatments. Now, I know some of this might sound a little ancient, maybe even a bit esoteric, but it actually has a direct translation into modern neuroscience. Acupuncture is basically a way of communicating directly with the body's main control panel, the autonomic nervous system. So our nervous system really has 2 main gears. You've got the sympathetic state, fight or flight, that's our gas pedal, it's great for emergencies. And then you have the parasympathetic state, rest and restore, that's our brake. It's absolutely essential for healing and recovery. The big problem with modern life is that so many of us are stuck with the gas pedal floored, living in a constant state of sympathetic overdrive. So how does acupuncture actually help with this? It's not magic. The needles stimulate very specific nerve pathways, and these pathways send a direct message up to the brain, essentially telling it, hey, you can ease off the gas, hit the brakes. It's like a manual override, helping the body shift back into that calm parasympathetic state. And the modern science really backs this up. A big randomized trial in 2022, published in the JAMA Network Open, found that real acupuncture was significantly more effective at reducing anxiety than a sham or fake treatment. So this tells us it's not just a placebo effect. There is something real and measurable happening in the nervous system. But honestly, here's what I think is the most compelling part of that study. The benefits actually lasted, even after the treatment stopped. This suggests that acupuncture isn't just putting a band-aid on the symptoms. It's actually helping to retrain the nervous system to establish a new, calmer baseline. The body is learning how to regulate itself again.
The needles are critical, and so is the neuroscience, of course. But there's another layer to this healing process that we often overlook, and it might just be the most important part of all. This is a description of Danielle Melanson's approach in her clinic. And that word reverence, it's so powerful, right? It means treating a person's symptoms not as a flaw that needs to be fixed, but as intelligent communication from a body that already knows how to heal itself if we just give it the right support.
And this is the bottom line. Healing can begin the very moment a person feels genuinely seen and truly heard. That sense of safety and validation, it isn't just a nice little bonus. It is an active ingredient in the medicine. It helps the nervous system start to calm down before a single needle is ever even placed. Which, of course, brings us right back to where we started. Maybe the most profound shift any of us can make is to stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and instead start asking, with a little bit of curiosity and reverence, "What is my body trying to tell me?" The answer could be the beginning of a whole new story.
I stopped trying to find a doctor who would listen, and I did this instead. For years, I was doing everything right. Eating clean, exercising, getting 8 hours of sleep, but I was still exhausted. I had constant brain fog, and my hormones felt completely out of whack. Every doctor told me my labs were normal, and it was probably just stress. I was about to give up until I found Holistic Health. It's a free AI wellness tool trained by functional medicine experts. I spent 5 minutes answering questions about everything: my symptoms, my sleep, my digestion, and it built me this. And this was the light bulb moment. It didn't just give me a list of problems, it connected the dots. It showed me how my gut health was likely impacting my hormones and how that was causing the fatigue and the brain fog. It even gave me a clear list of potential root causes, supplements to research, and even the specific lab tests to ask for. Its tip is secure. Over 77,000 people have used it, and it's 100% free to get your blueprint. If you feel like you're not being heard, start here. Understand your body first and then decide your next step.